The cold wind blew through the broken halls of the old space station. Metal groaned, lights flickered, and everything smelled of rust and old fire. Sivaya ran barefoot, her breath sharp and fast, her long silver hair flying behind her. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. She knew they were close. Her feet burned from the cold steel floor. Every step hurt, but stopping meant death. Her body glowed faintly in the dark, not from power, but from the red marks that had been burned into her skin. Marks of death, punishment from her people. The moment the mark touched her, she was no longer a person. She was a target. In her world, no one questioned the royal orders, but Sivaya had done something unforgivable. She had listened. She had overheard the council speaking in secret about the plan to destroy the outcast colonies. Innocent lives, children, families, all to be erased in silence. When she tried to speak up, they silenced her, they marked her, they hunted her. A sharp sound echoed behind her. Footsteps. Boots. Many of them. She turned a corner and ducked behind a broken crate. Holding her breath, she pressed her hand against her chest. Her heart was beating too fast. If they heard it, if they saw even a flicker of her glow, they would shoot. But then, silence. No more footsteps. No more voices. Just the hum of the old space station and the sound of her shallow breathing. She waited. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Then slowly she peeked out. That's when she saw him. A tall human man stood in the broken hallway dressed in a dusty jacket and old boots. His eyes scanned the area carefully, but he didn't seem like one of the hunters. He held no weapon. In his hands only a metal scanner that blinked slowly. Sivaya froze. She had heard stories of humans. Outsiders. Strange. Wild. And dangerous. But this one looked tired. Not cruel. Not angry. Just tired. He took a slow step forward, looked around again and whispered, "Anyone here?" She didn't answer. She couldn't trust him, but her body shook from the cold. The cuts on her arms stung, and her legs felt ready to fall. The human walked a little closer, now just a few meters away from her hiding place. "I'm not one of them," he said quietly. "If you're hurt, I can help." His voice was calm, soft, different. Sivaya's head throbbed, her vision blurred. She tried to stand but fell with a loud thud. He heard it. In a second he ran to her, kneeling down beside her. His face changed when he saw the death mark on her skin. He didn't step back. He didn't raise a weapon. He just stared at her, confused and worried. "They marked you," he whispered. Sivaya winced. "Don't touch me," she breathed. "It will mark you too." The man looked into her eyes. They were glowing, full of pain, fear, and something else. Strength. "So what?" he said. "Let them." She blinked. He gently reached out his hand. "My name is Darren," he said. "I don't leave people to die." "I'm Sivaya," she whispered. Her voice cracked and a tear rolled down her cheek. Darren wrapped his jacket around her and picked her up. "Can you walk?" She shook her head. "Then I'll carry you," he said. "Why?" she asked weakly. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked down the hallway toward the direction the hunters would come from and said, "Because no one else will." He carried her through the cold station, taking secret paths and dark corners. He knew this place. He knew where the cameras were, where the patrols walked, and where the blind spots were. Sivaya, half conscious, leaned her head against his chest. For the first time in days, she felt safe. Not saved. Not yet. But safe, for now. He led her into an old storage room, locked the heavy door behind them, and set her down on a soft pile of blankets. He knelt beside her. "They want you dead," he said. "But I don't. Tell me why." Sivaya looked up at him. Her voice was quiet, but every word was heavy. "Because I know the truth," she said, "and they want to bury it with me." Darren leaned back. His face was serious now. Then we'll make sure it doesn't die with you, he said. In the dark, hunted and surrounded by enemies, two strangers had just made a silent promise. One would protect and the other would fight to live. And somewhere beyond the stars, fate held its breath. The small storage room was dark and cold, but inside it, Sivaya felt warmer than she had in days. She lay on a pile of old blankets while Darren checked the door again. His ears stayed alert. His hands never left his sidearm. He wasn't just helping her. He was protecting her like someone who had already decided she mattered. Sivaya watched him from the floor. Her skin still glowed faintly, the red death mark like fire on her shoulder. No medicine could remove it. Once marked, she was supposed to die, forgotten and nameless. But this human, he didn't look away from it. He didn't run, he had stayed. You shouldn't be near me, she whispered. They'll kill you too. Darren turned toward her. I know. Why help me? She asked. He sat beside her and opened a food packet. He handed it to her without a word. Sivaya took it slowly, her hands shaking. Years ago, Darren said, someone helped me when I was marked for death. No reason, just kindness. I've waited a long time to return that favor. She ate in silence. The food was strange to her, salty and dry, but it filled her empty stomach. After a moment, she said softly, I heard something. Something they didn't want anyone to know. The royal speaker is planning a secret mission, not for peace, but for destruction. Darren raised an eyebrow. They want to wipe out the moon colonies, she continued. Too many questions, too much resistance. If they vanish, no one will ask. Darren's jaw tightened. You have proof? He asked. I memorized the code, the time, the name of the ship, but they erased all records. Then we'll make new records, he said. Sivaya blinked in surprise. What do you mean? He stood and walked to a box in the corner. Inside it were old tech pieces, wires, memory cores, and signal boosters. I used to be a smuggler, Darren said. Had to learn how to hack comm lines, steal transmissions, avoid trackers. I'll send your truth across the stars. You'd risk that? She asked. I already did, he said, the moment I picked you up. A day passed, then another. Outside, patrol ships circled the old station. Bounty hunters walked the halls. But inside the room, Darren built something. A transmitter. A voice. A way for the truth to escape. Sivaya watched him work. She helped where she could, typing codes, translating signals, fixing broken circuits. She hadn't spoken this much in weeks. She hadn't laughed at all, but Darren said something funny about alien food and she laughed. Quietly, but real. You smile like someone who forgot how, he said. She lowered her head, shy. I never had a reason, she said. On the third night, the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed outside. Someone had found their signal. They're here, Darren said, grabbing his blaster. Go, Sivaya said quickly. I'll surrender. They won't kill you if you hand me over. He turned sharply. Never. They'll destroy your life, she begged. They'll burn your name from every record. You'll become nothing, just like me. Darren stared into her eyes. Then let's be nothing together. But you are not surrendering. He opened the back door to the old maintenance shaft. We'll move through the vents, he said. I know a place where they can't track us. How do you know all this? She asked. Because I used to be hunted too. They crawled through narrow vents, moving silently while footsteps echoed below. At one point, Sivaya slipped. Her body dangled over a drop. She screamed, but Darren caught her hand in time. He pulled her back up, his fingers shaking. I won't let you fall, he whispered. They reached a hidden hangar where Darren's old cargo ship waited. It was dusty, dented, and covered in old blankets, but it worked. Get inside, he said. They'll shoot us down, she warned. Not if we fly low. He powered the ship and the engines roared to life. Sivaya sat beside him, strapping in. As they lifted off, red ships chased them. Lights flashed, warnings blared. Darren flew fast, weaving between wreckage and old satellites. A laser blast hit their side. Sivaya screamed. Darren didn't stop. "Hold on," he shouted. The ship spun, dropped, then rose again. At last, they reached deep space. The signal was weak now, but the message had already been sent. Sivaya looked at him, her heart racing. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. He looked ahead, eyes firm. "Because someone had to," he said. "Someone had to be your shield." And, for the first time since she had been marked, Sivaya felt something she had forgotten: hope. Space was silent, but Sivaya could hear her heartbeat loud in her ears. She sat in the old cargo ship, staring out the window as stars passed by. The death mark on her skin still burned. But now, something else burned even brighter inside her. Fear, for Darren. He sat at the control panel, eyes focused, jaw tight. He had been flying without rest for hours. The damage from the last attack had weakened the shields, and the ship was losing fuel. But Darren hadn't stopped. Not once. "We can't keep flying like this," she said softly. "I know," he replied, "but we can't land yet either. They're tracking us." Sivaya looked down at her hands. They were shaking. She had always believed no one would ever stand for her. Yet here he was, one human, carrying her fate on his back. Suddenly, a blinking, red light appeared on the screen. "What is it?" she asked. "Incoming ship," Darren said. "Large, fast." His voice remained calm, but she could feel the tension in it. Within seconds, a massive royal cruiser came into view. It blocked their path, dark and sharp like a blade in space. Lights blinked across its surface and a voice echoed through the speaker. "This is Imperial Vessel Sereth II. You are carrying a marked traitor. Surrender the fugitive, and you will not be harmed." Darren didn't answer. Sivaya leaned forward. "They're offering you safety, take it." He looked at her. "You think I believe that?" "You could survive," she whispered. "You could go home." "This is my home now," he said. "You are?" Before she could reply, the cruiser fired a warning shot. The blast shook their ship, rattling every bolt. Darren grabbed the controls. "Hang on." He dove the ship downward, spinning through a field of old wrecks and ice chunks. The cruiser followed, firing again and again. Sivaya held the edge of her seat, trying not to scream. She wasn't a warrior. She wasn't built for war, but now she was living inside one. "Can we outrun them?" she asked. "No," he said, "but we don't have to." He pressed a button, and a new path appeared, an old mining tunnel carved into a dead moon. Narrow, unstable, but maybe safe. "We go in there, we lose communication," she warned. "We already lost everything else," he replied. He flew straight into the tunnel. Walls scraped the sides of the ship, sparks flew, and lights flickered inside. The cruiser tried to follow, but it was too big. It stayed outside, waiting. Deep in the tunnel, they landed hard. The ship groaned. Smoke hissed. "Engines dead," Darren said. "What now?" Sivaya asked. He opened a small case near the back. Inside was a short-range signal device. Damaged, but repairable. "We rebuild," he said. For hours they worked, in silence. Sivaya soldered wires while Darren fixed the relay. Outside, the cruiser waited like a shadow, ready to strike the moment they came out. As they worked, a message came through, a low, broken signal. "Sivaya, it's me, your brother." She froze. Her fingers trembled. "They forced me to speak. I told them I knew where you were. Please, come back. Surrender. They promise they won't hurt the human." Sivaya's throat tightened. "It's a trick," Darren said. "He wouldn't lie," she whispered. "They would," he replied. "They're using his voice." Tears filled her eyes. "But what if he's in danger because of me?" Darren put a hand on her shoulder. "They'll use your heart against you. Don't let them." She nodded slowly. Deep down, she knew he was right. They finished the repairs. The ship wouldn't fly, but the signal would. Once we activate it, Darren said, your truth goes to everyone who listens, every rebel, every outcast moon, every silent ally. And they'll come for us? She asked. Maybe, he said. Or maybe they'll come for blood. Then we send it anyway, she said. Together, they pressed the button. The signal spread into space, a message of truth, a call for help, a cry from the forgotten. Outside, the cruiser responded with missiles. Darren ran to the control room. Shields are down. We have 10 seconds. What do we do? Savia asked. He looked at her and smiled. We hold on. The ship rocked violently. Fire burst through the back wall. Savia screamed as debris rained down. Then, everything went dark. When she opened her eyes, everything was quiet. She looked around. The ship was half buried in rubble. Lights flickered. Darren lay beside her, unconscious, blood on his forehead. Darren, she whispered, crawling to him. His eyes opened slowly. We made it? He asked. She nodded through tears. Outside, distant, engines echoed. Not Imperial ones, different, hopeful. Someone heard us, she said. He smiled faintly. Told you, and then he closed his eyes again, finally letting himself rest. Savia held his hand and whispered, You were my shield, and now I'll be yours. The air on the quiet moon was thin and sharp. Smoke rose from the crashed ship, but Savia didn't stop moving. She stayed close to Darren, who lay weak and bleeding inside the wreck. His face was pale. His body was cold, but he was alive, and that was enough for now. She had wrapped his head in cloth torn from her own clothes. She had no healing tools, no power left in the ship, and no one to call for help. But she remembered the old ways, her people's ancient ways. She built a fire from broken wires and dry roots growing under the ice. She boiled snow in a metal cup and mixed it with crushed moss. Her grandmother had once taught her how to treat wounds with it. Savia never thought she would use that knowledge here, on a human. You saved me, she whispered, pressing the warm cloth to his side. Now I will return the gift. Outside, the sound of engines grew louder. She stood up and stepped outside, the ship. A shadow moved across the stars, and then 3 small rebel ships landed on the edge of the moon. From one of the ships came a woman with short silver armor and glowing eyes. She looked at Savia with deep respect. We received your signal, she said. We heard your truth. And we came. Savia's hands shook. My friend is dying. Can you help him? We brought a healer, the woman said. In moments, Darren was placed in a medical bed inside the rebel ship. Savia stayed by his side as the healer worked, cleaning his wounds, giving him fluids, and scanning for broken bones. After some time, the healer smiled. He'll live. He's strong. Savia breathed in deeply, her chest finally relaxing. She looked down at Darren's hand and held it tightly. 3 days later, Darren opened his eyes. We're still alive? He asked, his voice dry. Savia laughed softly, brushing his hair back. You are. Barely. Good, he said, because I still have things to do. They were taken to a hidden rebel base on a forest moon. Savia was given clean clothes, warm food, and a room to rest. But she didn't rest. She spent her days walking through the halls, speaking to rebel leaders, sharing every secret she knew. Maps, codes, plans, everything. Darren walked with her when he could. He was weaker now, but no less determined. Together they showed the galaxy what the Empire had tried to hide. Savia spoke to the people in a broadcast, face uncovered, death mark still on her skin. I am Savia, once marked to die, she said, but I am still here. Not because I was strong, but because someone stood beside me. Someone who had no reason to help, but did. A human. A stranger. And now, I ask you, how many more will we let them silence? Her words spread across systems. The outcast moons lit fires in her name. People who once hid now rose. She had become their voice. And Darren, their proof that hope still lived. A month later, she stood before the Council of Elders, survivors from colonies destroyed by the Empire. They looked at her with heavy eyes, unsure if they could trust. Again, she walked to the center and spoke. "I am not here to lead you," she said. "I am here to ask for unity. Not under me, but under truth." An elder asked, "Why should we follow you, Sivaya? You carry the mark of death." She stepped forward and pulled back her sleeve. "Then let me show you something greater." On her arm was a new mark, a glowing symbol made with her own blood and the ancient fire. It was her clan's sacred sign. But this time, it was joined, with another mark beside it. "This," she said, pointing to the second symbol, "belongs to the man who saved me. I have named him part of my blood, part of my soul, not by law, but by choice." The elders stared. "His name is Darren," she said, "and without him I would not be here. We would not be free. I give him my name, not because he asked for it, but because he earned it." Later, as they walked through the rebel gardens, Darren looked at her. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "Yes, I did," she replied. "You became my shield, and now you are my family." He stopped walking and smiled. "You know, back on Earth we have a saying, a name is something you live up to." "Then live up to mine," she said with a smirk. In the sky above, the Empire still burned. But down below in quiet places, stories were told of a girl who was marked for death and a human who said no. Not every hero wears armor. Some simply stand and refuse to let someone fall.